All right, now that we sort of can open up a basic image and navigate around. By the way, just to kind of show you can do this with any image, not just the ones I give you. Let's find an image. I kind of talked about pixels as a website. So I'm just gonna type, I'm literally just coming up with something. I don't know. How about a dog? And I'm gonna click on this. Let's choose this dog. And under download, these are the sizes. These are the sizes in pixels. I talked about pixels earlier. So if I click on small, 640 by 480, that means 640 pixels by 480. I'm going to choose download. That would download the file to my computer. There it is in my downloads folder of my laptop. To bring it into something like Photopea, I'm going to go under File and Open. I forgot to mention this in the last one. So you can really only bring in images or photos into Photopea. That kind of makes sense, right? It's called Photopea for a reason. So here I can bring in like that was a GIF file, raster format. I could also bring in the JPEG raster format. I could bring in the PNG raster format, right? Hopefully that makes. But if I were to try to bring in, say, for instance, this text document, which I made in Microsoft Word, it doesn't work because it's not an image format. It's a text document, right? Or if I try to open up this Excel file, it won't work for the same reason because an Excel file is not an image. It's what we call tabular data. So I'm going to open up exercise two, and I got this image, and you may want to, there's options within Photopea that would allow me to edit the or manipulate the image as a whole, as the composition as a whole. So for instance, right now, the way it was taken, I would rather the image be kind of rotated, like it's like this, and I kind of want it like this. So what I'm going to do is I could go under image and I can go under transform and I could rotate this 90 degrees clockwise. And then there you go. I could have also done this counterclockwise, which means instead of rotating like this, it's going to rotate like this. Or I could flip it or rotate it 180 degrees, which, the way it works is we think of rotating as a circle, which has a total of 360 degrees. This is 90, this is 180, this is 270, then all the way back would be 360. So if you rotate something 180 degrees, that's a half turn. If you rotate something 90 degrees, that's a quarter turn. If I rotate it at 270, that's a three-quarters turn, so on and so on. So I'm just gonna rotate this counterclockwise, transform, rotate. There you go. I can also do what's called flipping. That is where left becomes right and right becomes left. It's kind of a reverse of the image. Back in the day, we would have called this a photo negative, where you literally take the negative film and flip it upside down. This is something you used to be able to do. Now that we don't use film anymore, it doesn't make as much sense, so I don't call it that. But here it's like I want to have this be on the right side and this be on the left side. So I'm going to go under Image, Transform, Flip horizontally. And what that's going to do is you can see everything flipped. It's like seeing something from the opposite side. And we get the little creepy message. Ooh, red rum. You can also flip something or flip vertically. In that case, top becomes bottom, bottom becomes top. So right now, like this is on the bottom, this is on the top. But if I were to do that, you can see what happens there. One thing about working in raster programs like Photoshop or Photopea, this is not a Photoshop class or a raster editing class like Photopea, but eventually you probably want to work non-destructively. And what that means is that we try not to delete information if we don't have to. Okay. So if I take this image and I, rotate it 90, oops, I did counterclockwise. Let's say I rotated it 90 degrees and I were to save what I did. The thing about that is, I have now overwritten the old data with the new data. Okay. So that destroyed a little bit. Now you could argue, well, that data wasn't important, and that's kind of a personal choice. Sometimes we try not to work, we try to work non-destructively, which means we try not to get rid of data unless we have to. Okay. So there are many methods of working non-destructively. One is, well, if you think you're going to be working changing large amounts of a photograph, you may want to make that you may want to work with a duplicate of that photograph. That way, whatever you do to the duplicate, you still have the original in case you want to go back to it, and that's been untouched. You know what I mean? So in this case, we can argue, I might go, you know what, I want to have this just as a backup. So what I'm going to do, this is exercise 4. I'm going to go to image and duplicate. And it made a duplicate over here. You can see this is the original, this is the duplicate. Now what I'm going to do, let us now rotate that one. Oops, what happened? There we go. Okay. So this duplicate is being changed and updated, but my original stays the same. Okay. So these are some basic stuff we can do where we're affecting the entire composition. All right. So try that out. That was 2, 3, and 4. In the next video, I'm going to talk about how to set up your own composition. This is going to get into some of the properties of a raster graphic, which include resolution and color space.